Life debugging, deconstructing, the matrix of delusion, and returning to Suchness.
In the Buddhist system of cultivation, the four foundations of mindfulness are not isolated practices, they serve as the underlying operating system for the 10 virtuous karmas. In today's teaching, the Master deeply analyzed how we are burdened by this cumbersome body and how we deceive ourselves within the Rashomon effect of our consciousness. This is a biological revolution, a journey from automated delusion back to knowledge as it truly is. Chapter I: Contemplation of the impurity of the body, breaking the obsession with the cumbersome body. When discussing the impurity of the body, tradition often points to decay and filth. However, the Master provides a more vital dimension: lack of freedom. Non-autonomy is itself impurity. The burden and transport cost of the earth element. The Master pointed out that the impurity of the human body is first manifested in its heaviness and dependency. The trouble of transport: the body is composed of earth, water, fire, and air, especially the earth element. Because of our attachment to this earth element, if you want to go anywhere, you must rely on transportation: cars, boats, planes, or exhaust yourself walking. This state of being unable to arrive at a destination by mere thought, having to physically move this pile of meat, is a profound lack of freedom. The truth of the supernatural power of food, possessing this power, does not mean the earth element is absent, rather, it means attaining great mastery over material form. One can become light or heavy at will. However, as long as one still needs to exert function to move the body, it remains a procedural step, a lingering state of non-autonomy. What is true purity? The Master defined the standard of purity as acting according to one's will without any obstruction. The manifestation of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas: they manifest bodies solely so sentient beings can perceive them. To them, the body is like a piece of trash or a burden that can be discarded at any moment, once its purpose is served. It is extinguished. The delusion of the ordinary person: only the unawakened treat this cumbersome burden as a treasure. As long as you remain attached to and linger upon this physical form, you will never experience true purity. Chapter I: Contemplation of feeling as suffering. Attachment is the only code for pain. Pleasure as a seed of suffering. If one attains the heavenly realms through the 10 virtuous karmas, is that pleasure still suffering? The Master's answer was precise: if you identify that state as pleasure, it becomes suffering. Once you become attached to that pleasure, you create discrimination and revulsion toward the filth of other sentient beings, which prevents you from achieving the great compassion of the Buddha way. The clothing theory: the awakened use feeling like wearing clothes, putting them on when needed and discarding them afterward. In the face of retribution, feeling is not up to us. When karma manifests as retribution, such as injury or illness, feeling is involuntary. The Master mentioned that the second patriarch's ability to remain unperturbed while severing his own arm was due to a powerful will. It did not mean he felt no pain. His act was one of profound repentance, having once struck Master Bodhidharma with that hand. Severing it was a sincere atonement. Regarding the Buddha's past life as a prince who fed himself to a hungry tigress, the Surangama Sutra states that once the form aggregate rupa skandha is shattered, the pain of fire or blade no longer registers. If you are still trapped within the form aggregate, you must taste that suffering. Debugging technique: contemplating feeling as suffering requires realizing the true nature of feeling. If you crave the sensation of eating, you will eat until you become ill excess. And when food is absent, you will search for it in a frantic, lost state. This is suffering whether you have it or not. Chapter II: Contemplation of the mind as impermanent. Deconstructing the matrix of fabricated thoughts. This is the most hardcore and shocking part of the teaching. The Master conducted a destructive deconstruction of the mechanisms of the mind. The automated operation of the monkey mind. Our thoughts are like monkeys jumping up and down or horses racing without pause. This is not innate, it is a skill we have practiced since childhood. Effortless action anabai samskara. We have practiced our mastery of delusion to such an extreme that it had become automated. We cannot stop it even if we want to. This constant racing is, in essence, a state of profound unease. Yajnadatta and cessation is bodhi. The Master used the story of Yajnadatta from the Surangama Sutra, who thought he had lost his head and ran about frantically looking for it. The moment of awakening: if you realize that all of this is merely a delusion and that nothing actually exists, you will cease to pursue it. Cessation is bodhi. Being able to stop proves you have realized these thoughts are false. Being unable to stop proves you are still lost, still granting reality to your delusions. 3. The rational of consciousness, the truth you perceive is entirely fabricated. The master revealed a cruel law: as long as you think about something, you will inevitably fabricate an error. The process of fabrication consciousness clings to a tiny fact and then begins to infinitely extend, label, and define it as good, bad, right, or wrong. The case of the stolen axe: if you suspect your neighbor stole your axe, he looks like a thief in every way. Once you find the axe in your own home, he no longer looks like a thief. This shows your previous certainty was entirely fabricated. The film Rashomon: everyone hides the core of an event when recounting it, focusing instead on non-event details related to themselves. The master emphasized that everyone speaks in this mode. If you trust someone else's account and at your own speculation, you are a million miles away from the truth. 4. Suchness: knowledge as it truly is the only correct response. The master emphasized that Buddhas and Bodhisattvas never use thinking to deal with reality. Knowledge of suchness: things are what they are. If you lack the ability for suchness, such as supernatural powers or direct perception, then simply do not think. Knowing what you know as much as you know. For what you do not know, maintain a state of not knowing. This creates one less layer of karma. Seeing is not believing. The human eye can only see a tiny fraction of the light spectrum. The ear can only hear a tiny fraction of sound waves. What you see are merely fragments of light and shadow. How can you call that seeing the truth? Chapter IV: Contemplation of Phenomena as Non-Self, searching for the non-existent subject. Deconstructing material and mental phenomena. The four elements material phenomena are not me. The fabricating consciousness mental phenomena is also not me. The master explained that consciousness fabricates stories based on material things, e.g., guessing someone's gender or character. These fabricated things are also not me. The Hinayana vs. Mahayana perspectives on non-self. Hinayana: searching everywhere and finding no real self, breaking the attachment to self, and attaining arhatship. Mahayana: self and non-self are relative terms. The true suchness nature Tathagata is absolute, it transcends relativity. The screen metaphor: the screen self nature is absolute, the images on the screen self or non-self are relative. You cannot say the image is the screen, but the image is not separate from the screen. In Mahayana, contemplation of phenomena as non-self means breaking even the attachment to the concept of a true self. Chapter V: the four right efforts and four bases of power, the dynamics of life correction. The four right efforts, precise cleanup of karma. This is the pruning technique designed for the 10 virtuous karmas. To abandon existing evil, like cleaning up filthy trash. Actively eliminate the 10 non-virtuous karmas already committed. To prevent the arising of new evil, remain vigilant to ensure new evil thoughts are not generated. To encourage the arising of new good, hurry to create the 10 virtuous karmas. To maintain existing good, when a tiny sprout of virtue rises, like cleaning a floor or feeling a moment of compassion, guard it with diligence. The four bases of power: Idapada, using interest as fuel. The master's explanation of power or success is modern. It is a saturated, unique, and indispensable interest. Misplaced interest: ordinary people have the greatest interest in worldly pleasures. This is the power of success applied to the wrong object. True basis of power: through the correct understanding gained from contemplating the body as impure and feeling as suffering, one develops a unique interest in practicing virtuous laws. When this interest reaches saturation, your cultivation will achieve effortless success, like a high-speed engine. Conclusion: this teaching reveals the most fundamental yet profound truth of cultivation. We have always lived within a matrix of delusion of our own weaving. We love this cumbersome body, crave those false feelings, trust that fabricating mind, and cling to those impermanent phenomena. Therefore, admitting your not knowing is the first step to breaking the Rashomon effect. Stop the fabrication and learn knowledge of suchness. Turn your interest in worldly filth toward the pursuit of truth and purity. The moment you truly realize that fabricated thoughts are harmful and useless and you stop dancing to their tune, clarity and freedom will meet you unexpectedly. May we all perceive the illusion of this cumbersome body in every breath and sever the continuity of fabrication in every thought. Rising from knowledge of suchness, let us ignite the true basis of power, guiding our lives through the navigation of purity toward the destination of great autonomy.